sobering message today. And it's about leadership and mistakes. And I'll start off with a mistake that I just realized that I made this past week. And it's a big mistake, because I think because of this, we're going to lose about 1 billion children. And I'll tell you how it happened. Back on November the 3rd, I did a speech in front of City Hall. And one of the things that I talked about when talking about cancer was reverse transcriptase. How the story that you've been told that mRNA doesn't change the DNA is a lie. Because bodies, human bodies, have something called reverse transcriptase, which can turn mRNA into DNA. And once something is turned into DNA, it can change the cell for the rest of that cell's life. A couple weeks after that speech at Vancouver City Hall on November the 3rd, I was on a Zoom call with some pretty famous people. And I brought up the topic of reverse transcriptase. And an expert in the field of cell biology and genetics, someone who had devoted his life to researching cell biology and genetics, he said, "Oh, Dr. Nagase, don't worry about reverse transcriptase. That's not a significant problem." And because I'm an emergency doctor, and the last time I actually studied cell biology was 20 years ago, I thought, well, this guy probably knows what he's doing. He's famous, he's reputable, he has tons of credentials. So I stopped thinking about reverse transcriptase. That was 4 months ago. If I had stuck to my guns, kept my mind thinking instead of listening to an expert, I would have brought you this message 4 months ago. And the message is this: reverse transcriptase causing liver cancer, immune cancer, lymphatic cancers, that's only one part of the problem. The problem, as was leaked by a Japanese study last summer, was that the lipid nanoparticles made here in UBC with your money, they were designed to target 3 organs: the liver, the spleen, and ovaries. And here's the thing: had I kept thinking about reverse transcriptase, talking about reverse transcriptase, I would have realized 4 months ago that ovaries have reverse transcriptase too. So any mother-to-be, even if she is not pregnant yet, if she gets an mRNA vaccine, that mRNA, if it's using the UBC technology, the UBC lipid nanoparticle technology, those mRNAs are going to go to the ovaries. And guess what? In the eggs, there's reverse transcriptase. And when there's reverse transcriptase, that spike protein mRNA gets changed into DNA. And when it's changed into the DNA, it can go inside the egg cells and permanently change the DNA for future generations. If you're lucky, that DNA change will happen in a reading frame. And what a reading frame is, it's the part of the DNA that gets transcribed into proteins. And that spike protein is so toxic that any embryo made from that egg will die. That's only a part of the problem. There are things throughout the human genome called non-reading frames. There's DNA that stays silent, that is never transcribed into proteins until the next generation. So if that spike protein DNA created from spike protein mRNA from the Pfizer or Moderna jabs, If that gets inserted into a non-reading frame, that mutation is silent. It is hidden inside the DNA of that egg cell, which means an embryo, when that egg cell is fertilized, can grow into a normal embryo, a normal child, a normal adult, except for one thing. There is a hidden spike protein mutation in the DNA that the adult doesn't know about because it's silent. And it'll only show up when that adult tries to have another child. And then DNA undergoes something called recombination, where nature mixes the genes from that adult's mother and father to create a new human being. And during that mixing process, sometimes silent DNA segments get reactivated. 5 billion people have been injected so far on this planet. Half of them are women. 2.5 billion. Half of them will be women who are young enough to have children. There are 1.25 billion carriers of mutations in the egg cell line of their bodies. 1.25 million women who are capable of giving birth to children who carry something that has never been seen before in the human species, in the entire human genome. And that is the spike protein. The spike protein has been put into the human genome, into at least 1.25 billion people on this planet. And if that gene is silent, there's no way that I can tell that that gene is there. I won't be able to tell until problems start happening in the children and grandchildren and the great-grandchildren. This is the magnitude of evil we are dealing with. We are dealing with people who have the money, the power to pollute the entire human genome. And I'm sorry, I should have been onto this 4 months ago. But I made the mistake of listening to an expert. So I know everyone wants to have faith in their leaders. But I want everyone here to have faith in something greater than a leader. Because leaders are human. They make mistakes. They figure out the truth too late. I want us all to be united with ideas, united under the Creator. Because this is a massive war. And unfortunately, in part due to me, I think we've lost the first battle. But there's many more battles to come. And in order to win this, we are going to see our leaders fall. Leaders who tried their best and made mistakes. We're going to see leaders corrupted with money, torture, jail time. But the one thing that doesn't die, because leaders can be killed. We've seen that happen in human history. Leaders who tried to do the right thing, leaders who were not corruptible, they get assassinated. And then their movement dies. So I have a solution. I have a solution I want you to share with everyone that is capable of listening. Follow ideas, not people. Because ideas live even when the person dies. And that's how we're going to win this. Because we are going to win this. Because we have the ideas of truth on our side. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, each and every one of you.
Thank you.